How on earth do we live? Let's read together as we read last week, 1 Peter 2 verse 9. This is what it says. But you are God's chosen and special people. You are a group of royal priests, a holy nation. God has brought you out of the darkness into his marvelous light. Now you must tell all the wonderful things he has done, the scripture says. Once you were nobody, now you are God's people. At one time, no one had mercy on you. Now God has treated you with kindness. Dear friends, you are foreigners and strangers on this earth. So I beg you not to surrender to those desires that fight against you. Always let others see you behaving properly, even though they may still accuse you of doing wrong. Then on the day of judgment, they will honor God by telling the good things that they saw you do. What we can take from this is that church is not our home. This world is not our home. Wherever we live is not our home. We have an eternal destination that each one of us are going to spend eternity in heaven with Christ. This is not the final destination. We're not of this world, we're in it, but we're not of it. I think you need to hear that. We're in this world, not of this world. If you're a believer of Christ, you have another home, an eternal destination. And as Stella said, how on earth do we live? How on earth do we live? We find our identity in Christ, in who he says we are. We recognize that we are royalty, that we are chosen, and we live out God's purposes from that perspective. You are royalty. Everybody say, I'm royalty. I'm chosen. That is who you are. I love what 1 Peter 2:11 in the Message translation says. Friends, this world is not your home. So don't make yourselves cozy in it. Don't indulge your ego at the expense of your soul. Live an exemplary life in your neighborhood so that your actions will refute their prejudice. We are called to live an exemplary life. And I love that it says in your neighborhood, not in church or just in church. A lot of us are good at being leaders in church, but we've actually been called to lead. We've been called to live an exemplary life outside of these four walls. Everywhere you find yourself, live an exemplary life. We are called to be an example, to point people to Christ. See, we can't lead if we're cozy. It says don't get cozy. We can't lead when we're cozy, when we're comfortable. It's going to take us getting uncomfortable with the way things are in order for us to lead the way we were called to lead. If you're uncomfortable with the way your marriage is, then it takes some leadership to be uncomfortable with the way my marriage is. I'm going to lead a little bit better. It takes being uncomfortable with the situation in South Africa, so I'm going to lead a little better. That's why I love that we spoke about hope in this nation. Why? Because we believe it. It takes getting uncomfortable with the way your kids are speaking in order for you to lead them better. It takes being uncomfortable with your work environment in order for you to lead better. 1 Corinthians 11 verse 1. Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. We're called to live exemplary lives. Leadership is taking the lead. It's actually saying, follow me as I follow Christ. Follow me as I follow Christ. Craig Rochelle says Christians have a daily call to live a different standard. Christians have a daily call to live a different standard. So today we want to practically, as Stella said last week, you might be very theologic, but today we want to practically learn how to lead better. And in fact, this week I read a verse that said, maybe it's time to stop studying the word and start living it. So sometimes we can be so theological, but we forget to be the practical. So let's stop studying and let's start living. Let's start doing what God has called us to do. How on earth do we lead? We're quickly going to listen to a few voiceovers from leaders in the Assembly of God group, some of my friends in ministry. Let's hear what they have to say about how to lead.
How on earth do Christians lead in their everyday lives?
Leadership, from my perspective, is best summed up with Jesus wrapping the towel around his waist and washing the disciples' feet. It says when he knew all authority had been given to him, where he knew where he was from and where he was going. So he knew his identity, his destiny, his purpose, and he knew that he had authority. And out of all that place, he chooses to wrap a towel around his waist and serve. And if he is our king, that means leadership is nothing more and nothing less than being willing to serve everyone and anyone in any way, shape, or form that may take. And so leadership whether it's yourself, it's people in your work environment, your family, your friends. Leadership is best expressed through understanding how best you can serve yourself and the people in your world.
For me, Christianity and leadership are synonymous. As citizens of heaven, I firmly believe that every single follower of Christ can make meaningful change here on earth. We've got value to add. We've built our leadership on 4 transferable principles. Consistency builds trust, trust builds influence, and influence is leadership. As we stay consistent, as we do what we say we're going to do, as we stay integrous, we grow in trust in people's hearts and minds. As we have more trust afforded to us, so we grow in influence, and influence is leadership. Stay consistent, build trust, builds influence, therefore growing in leadership. Christianity and leadership are synonymous.
I believe Christians complicate leading in their everyday life, where it shouldn't be. It's something quite simple. I think we lead simply by being authentically ourselves, and we also lead with an overflow of our real relationship with Jesus. We can't hide who we really are. And so if we are truly spending time with Christ, or being made more and more like Him and loving Him and obeying Him, then we're going to see that overflow into our everyday life.
There we go. Just some leadership from some of our pastors in the Assembly of God group. Leadership is influence. John Maxwell, the essence of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Oswald Sanders says leadership is influence, the ability of one person to influence others. I don't know if you're getting the theme here. Leadership is influence. It means that your life as a leader is influencing other people. Church, we are sons and daughters of the Most High King. We represent His kingdom, and therefore when it comes to leading, each one of us are leaders. Each one of us have leadership ability. Each one have the ability to influence other people in every sphere of our lives. Leadership is influence. You sitting here right now, everybody say me. You have a leadership role. You can say, okay, yes, you can say it. I have a leadership role. See, let me remind you, your leadership position on this earth is in your house. In your home, you have a leadership role. If you're not leading your wife, if you're not helping lead the household, if you're not leading your kids, if you're not leading the grandma that lives with you, if you're not leading that auntie and that uncle, you have leadership in your home. You have leadership in this church. We are supposed to lead in the way that we worship, in the way that we praise, in the way that we speak, in the way that we agree with the sermon. We're supposed to lead. We are leaders in this church. We are leaders in our family. We are leaders at our family gatherings. Because sometimes Christmas comes and everybody's swearing and drinking, and you there going, oh, I have castle free. What am I going to do? You are leading in your family gatherings. You are the light of Christ in your family gatherings. You are a leader. You are a leader at your business. Like living with integrity, doing your finances right, following the right structures, doing what God has called you to do within your business, maybe in your workplace. You are a leader in your workplace. Yeah, but you don't understand my workplace. I don't care what it looks like. You are a leader in your workplace. You're a leader in your workplace. You are a leader at weekend parties. We often preach like this to youth, but again, adults are finding themselves in the same place where we're failing to lead. You call me Boka today on a Sunday. Are you going to be a leader while watching the Springboks? Are you going to be a leader? You have influence. We've been called to live at a different standard. We are leaders. We've been called to live at a different standard. Follow me as I follow Christ. That is what we live by. I am a leader. Verse 12 then says, one day they will honor God by telling the good things they saw you do. So before that, it's like, oh, they're going to keep throwing mud at you. But one day is one day. One day they're going to say, oh my goodness, I remember the time that Roxy did this. I remember the time where Tanya did this, where she took leadership, where he took leadership. And maybe it's for the men a reminder, you are leaders. Like women tend to do this now. And we're leaning more towards women taking charge and taking lead. And there's nothing wrong with that. But men also don't slack off here. Let's be men that lead. This is biblical, by the way. This isn't just my opinion. This is the Bible. Bill Hybels, I love this quote so much. 360-degree leaders don't just direct their leadership south to people under their care. They also learn to lead north by influencing those with authority over them. And they lead east and west by impacting their peers. Most importantly, they learn how to keep the compass needle centered by leading themselves, by keeping their own lives in tune so they can provide maximum direction for others. How on earth do we lead? We lead like Jesus. He was the greatest leader of all time, and he was the greatest role model of what leadership looks like in all time. So how on earth do we lead? We actually go, how did Jesus lead? Let's check Jesus' heart. If we're going to lead like Jesus, we need to consider our hearts. Evaluate your heart. Monitor your heart. Guard your heart. If we lead like Jesus led, he considered his heart. Our effectiveness in our leadership is considering our heart, and it starts inside. It starts with you. As we just read, keeping your own lives in tune. It's keeping your life in tune so you can give other people direction. Have you ever been led by someone who's got absolutely, like, they're just all over the show? Absolutely, like, oh my goodness, can this person just like sort themselves out and then try and lead me? Don't be that leader. Get yourself in tune in a relationship with God. How to lead? Number one, heart. 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 It starts with your heart. Michael Hyatt says Jesus led himself. This is where all leadership starts. Self-leadership precedes team leadership and public leadership. If you can't lead yourself, then you can't and shouldn't lead others. It starts with leading yourself. Pastor Mark Reeves, as we heard now, and he said, continue to say this, we can only cast what we carry. We can only impart who we are. So if you are full of rubbish, you're going to impart rubbish. But if you're focused on yourself, keeping yourself in tune, how can I be the best version of me to glorify God? That's my motto, my life motto. Be the best you that you can be to glorify God. So how can I be a better husband? I'm going to impart something great in me so that I can be a better husband, be a better father, be a better pastor, be a better friend. How do we do this? We can only cast what we carry, only impart who we are. Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. Leading requires intentional guarding of the heart. Intentionally going, what's happening in my heart? Evaluating what's happening in your heart. Do I have humility in my heart? Do I have love in my heart? Do I have kindness in my heart? Do I have peace in my heart? Is my heart consumed by a love for Christ and a love for people? What's happening in your heart? If we look at the heart of Jesus, firstly, his heart was for the Father. His heart was to have a relationship with his Father, to be obedient with the will of his Father. So if we're leading like Jesus led, let's put our hearts into practice and go, God, I'm so in love with you. You are my priority. My heart is for your kingdom. My heart is to obey what you want me to do. Richard and Henry Blackaby. Jesus established the model for Christian leaders. It's not found in his methodology, but rather in his absolute obedience to the Father's will. Church, we get hung up on method. Oh, that's not how we used to do church. Oh, that's not how we used to lead. No, we get hung up on method. It's not about the method. The method changes all the time, but the principle stays the same. Jesus led because of a relationship with his Father. Zinzendorf. That's quite fun to say. Everybody say Zinzendorf. He's a German bishop, apparently. And he said this, I have one passion. It is he and he alone. We just got to put our whole life around that statement. I have one passion. It is he and he alone. So looking at Jesus' heart, he was about his Father's business. Looking at Jesus' heart, he was about people. Jesus didn't just look at people, but he looked at ways he could care for and serve other people. He was caring for people. Matthew 20:28. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. The way Christ led was through serving. The way Christ led was through serving. Christian leaders don't use people, they serve people. Christian leaders don't use people, they serve people. It's asking, how can I better serve my boss? Sure. Now, I'm not saying you got to be a little puppy under their leadership. But what I am saying is you going, I'm going to change my perspective. How can I better serve my boss? How can I better serve my annoying colleague? How can I better serve my children? Not doing everything they want you to do, but how can I better serve them? I serve my kids by keep saying things like, you're a champion. You're amazing. When his character was out of check, Stella spoke about it last week, and we're like, what the heck is happening to my kid? We raised him so well. And now this. But we didn't just fight the character. When he was focusing on it, he actually said, let us see what could change this. He drew a little picture of a YouTube icon because he watches YouTube's kids. And then he said no to YouTube kids for a week by himself. And it changed his attitude. And we kept going every day, buddy, loving the character, loving the attitude. That's serving my kid. Yeah, last night he went back to YouTube kids. It only lasted a week. But you know what? There's progress. There's progress. How do we better serve our children? Maybe older children need to have some conversations with their parents, and they're just too scared to approach you. Maybe you need to initiate conversation and have conversation with your kids. It's not that they've been speaking to me, I'm just saying. How can you better serve your spouse? I read a statement this week, marriages that last are ones that forgive. It's not about you right, I'm right, you wrong, I'm wrong, whatever. It's about forgiveness. How can you better serve your spouse? How can I better forgive my spouse? How can I better lead my spouse? Is your heart to be served or to serve? See, it's impossible to lead like Jesus when we won't serve like Jesus. Ken Blanchard, he's a leadership author, he said, servant leadership is the only management and leadership approach that Jesus validated for his followers. Servant leadership. So evaluate your heart, because the willingness to serve or the lack of willingness to serve will show your heart, it will show your character, it will show your relationship with God, and it will affect your purpose and your leadership ability. When we bend down to serve, God will lift us up to lead. That's the reality. When we bend down to serve, God will lift us up to lead. You heard Pastor Mark. He had a towel around his waist. He knew his authority. He knew his position. But yet Jesus even chose to serve. How on earth do we lead like Jesus? We use our head. So we evaluate and monitor and guard our hearts. But number two, we use our heads. We don't mindlessly walk around and going, Jesus, I'll do whatever you want me to do. No, we actually allow him to transform our thinking, to renew our mind. We actually use our heads, and I'm using that word very specifically because sometimes we lead brainlessly. We don't take any decision in our heads. We need to use our heads. Jesus used his head. He thought about what he's doing. He was intentional about what he was doing. He wasn't just like, oh, whatever. No, he obeyed the Father's will. He used his head. God wants me to do. What does he want me to do? We need to allow him to renew our minds. Gain biblical wisdom. That's using your head. It's gaining biblical wisdom. It's seeking to better understand Christ. It's critical thinking. It's strategic focus. We use our heads to lead. See, we can't be faithful and effective leaders if we're not using our minds, if we're not thinking right, the Bible says. Think right, think noble, think pure. We can't lead if we're not in his word so that can really consume our thoughts. We're not leading if we're not seeking to understand Christ more. Using our heads is vital because that's where decisions are being made. That's where your choice to be Christ-like is formed, in your head. It's where integrity comes from. The choice to be integrous is in your head. Choices on where you're leading your family. Using your head is giving vision. Using your head is actually going, where are we going? Not wherever the flow. I'm going to think about where I am going. Biblical perspective. God, where do you want to take my family? Where do you want to take me in the next year? How do you want me to lead in the next year? Where there is no vision, people perish. Proverbs 29. Using your head speaks about your mission, thinking about your mission. Why on earth am I here? What is my purpose? What do I need to do? Where do I need to step up in my leadership at the moment? Some of you need to consider, where can I lead better at the moment? How can I lead better? Using your head speaks about value. How do you operate? What do you allow and what don't you allow? What boundaries have you put in place? This takes thinking. It's actually thinking. What am I not, when people come visit me, what am I going to tolerate? What am I not going to tolerate? When I go to work and they swear in front of me, am I going to be like, oh, cool, ha, ha, ha? Or am I actually going to be like, no, that's against my value? Thinking. Thinking uses your head, and it's about value. Your head speaks about having the mindset of Christ. I love this one. It's having the mindset of Christ. 1 Corinthians 2:16, we have the mind of Christ. Having the mind of Christ, meaning sharing his plans, we're sharing in his purpose, and we're sharing in his perspective. Having the mind of Christ is saying, I know the plans that he has for me. I'm working in obedience and accordance with him. It's knowing his purposes. It's knowing his perspective. It's seeing things as though it's him viewing it through you. It's seeing South Africa in light of what Jesus sees it as, not as the current situation of stage 6 load shedding. He brought you out of the darkness into the light. It's remembering what Christ's purpose and plan was. His plan and purpose was to see sinners saved, to seek and save the lost. If that's his very plan, then surely our mind needs to be around that. Our very everyday life, our business, our work, whatever we do needs to be wrapped around how can I better seek and save the lost to better his kingdom. How can we glorify him more? That's going to take some leadership. Now, number one, guard your heart. Monitor, evaluate your heart. Where is it at? Is it a servant heart? Is it not? Use your head. Think about what you're doing. Be strategic, intentional thinking, critical thinking. Don't just let things happen. Think about it. Number 3, if we're going to lead like Jesus, we have to strive to have healthy and godly habits. Healthy and godly habits. Healthy habits serve as a pulley to lighten your load and increase your leadership capacity. Healthy habits serve as a pulley to lighten your load and increase your leadership capacity. If we had to look at some habits of Jesus, solitude and prayer was a habit. In Luke 4, Jesus goes and prays for 40 days. In Luke 6, Jesus withdraws from the crowd and spends time with his Father. Often throughout the New Testament, we can see Jesus saying, guys, I'm going to be back now. I'm just going to spend time with my Father. He went to a quiet place alone. For extroverts, this is very difficult. Being alone and being quiet is impossible for extroverts. But you need to get yourself to a place of solitude and prayer where you're saying, God, I need to withdraw because why? It recalibrates us in who God has created for us to be. When life is chaotic and busy and in a hurry, we actually need to say, no, I'm not going to go with what culture's pushing right now. I'm actually going to withdraw into a quiet place and pray. Now, introverts, don't stay there. Introverts are like, oh, quiet place alone? Yes, fantastic. No, you still got to go out and lead. Get back to a place where you actually just solitude and prayer. This was important to Jesus. Maybe it's starting your day slowly with God. Because I know when I wake up, it's go, get the kids to school on time. No. Maybe it's just waking up earlier to say, I'm going to start my day slowly with God. And I'm going to end my day slowly with God. Everything in between can be a rush, can be a madhouse. But let's start and end our day slowly with God. Jesus had the habit of being in a small group. He had 3 people who he was very intimate with and very close, Peter, James, and John. And if Jesus had a group that he could be intimate with, surely we need a group that we could be intimate with, that we could be like, whoa, check, this is my heart. Keep me accountable. Keep me in check. This is where your leadership will improve. And if you don't have an intimate group, we will start life groups next week. This week coming. So you can go to a group, get to know about them, and then be open at some point. I'm not saying go there and give you all your dirty laundry the first week. Don't do that. 1 Peter 2 verse 9, but you are God's chosen and special people. You are a group of royal priests, a holy nation. Church, because of who Christ says we are, we have a different standard to live by. We are royal and chosen. Stella spoke about it. If you're representing a kingdom, you have to live at a different standard. So he has 10 ways that we can, as we wrap up, 10 habits and standards to live by. It's inspired by 1 Timothy 3, but Chad Veach also titled it, Reach the Standard. So if you're not there yet, reach the standard. Don't use it as an excuse, but reach the standard. Number 1, live above reproach. Avoid the appearance of evil. Live above reproach. John Maxwell says the more responsibilities you have, the less rights you have. So as you lead as a Christian, you increase with responsibility, the less rights you have to live however you please. If that's too much, then don't lead. But you are a leader. Each one of you sitting here. So you're going to have to reach the standard. Our responsibility is to lead others to Christ, to bring his kingdom into our environment, not kick his kingdom out when the environment changes. It's bringing his kingdom into our environment. Number 2, be faithful to your spouse. Reach the standard. Let me just clarify, this doesn't just mean cheating on her or him. It's being faithful to your spouse. It's serving them, thinking about them, loving them, being consistent in your relationship with them. It's being faithfulness equals fruitfulness. So it's being faithful to your spouse. It's pursuing your spouse. There's been a study that was done in this generation. Men have stopped pursuing. So when you're dating, you know how it is. She'll buy you all the flowers in the world. I'm going to spend money on you. Doesn't matter. I'm going to borrow money from my parents. I'm going to steal money for airtime. That's not a true story. I stole R5 every week from my mother's wallet to buy MTN airtime to SMS my girlfriend every week. And then eventually she found me doing it. And then she's like, just ask me for R5 every week. So she paid for my SMS bill. But I don't do that now. I'm not going to go steal money now to speak to my wife. But pursue your spouse. Number 2, be faithful. This takes leadership, pursuing your spouse. Number 3, have self-control. Control your emotions. Don't let them control you. Control your time, talent, and treasure. Control what you do and don't do. Control your spending. Control. Be consistent. Control your reputation. This takes leadership. Number 4, be respected by all. Everyone that knows you best ought to respect you most. Not the other way around. Like, they don't know me, they respect me. No. Everyone that knows you best ought to respect you most. When they get to know you better, will they still respect you? Number 5, be a lover, not a fighter. Address issues. Have tough conversations. Resolve conflict. This is leadership. Like, we're not saying be a lover, not a fighter. Oh, I'm just going to love on everybody. No, sometimes you have to address issues. You have to talk about things. Have conversation. Communicate. I just feel like the Spirit of God is on me right now. Communicate with one another. Speak to somebody, not about somebody. Speak, like gossip, massive thing. But even in relationships, speak it out. Yo, you know what? Roxy was such a... And then what? Roxy doesn't even know I have an issue with her. No, speak about it. Have a conversation. Approach it with wisdom. Seek understanding. Rox, I just want to chat to you about this and this and this. Like, it may just be my perspective, but... Sorry, I'm picking on you, but maybe we have to have a conversation afterwards, all right? Be a lover, not a fighter. Love more than you fight. If the drama is always around you, it might not be what's around you that's the problem. So be a leader, be a lover, not a fighter. And also your personality doesn't trump this standard. You know, this is just my personality. No, you're a leader. Number 6, be hospitable. Like, take good care of people. When they come to your house, I love what Auntie Terry does when you go to a house, there's always candles lit. Always. Candles lit. Not just candles there, but they lit. A lot of us have candles in our house, but we forget to light them. Number 7, don't be a drunk. Everything in moderation. So I'm not saying yes or no, I'm saying everything in moderation. If you're a leader, as a church, this is what we believe. Everything in moderation. Be careful with the substances you consume. Number 8, remember, if you're not there, reach the standard. Reach the standard. I drink 6 beers a day, now I'm going to drop it down to 3. Reach the standard. Whatever you need to do. 8, live generously. Have a budget, save money, be radically generous. Can I just say, don't strive to have a platform, but be a platform that will get other people to the next level in their life? This is generosity. It's saying, I'm not going to want to seek a platform for myself because I'm a leader. No, leaders go, I am a platform to get you to the next level. Be a leader. Number 9, be a good parent. If you can't be a good parent, you're not being a good leader. Leadership starts in your house. I got this wrong in the beginning of ministry so much. I put church and people way, way, way ahead of my family. Family is my first ministry, then everybody else. You need to get that right in your life too. Your family is your first ministry. Be a good parent. Lead well. Speak to your kids. Love your kids. Pray for them. If your kids are old, phone them. Phone them. Tell them I'm praying for you. Pray for them. Do it. Be a good parent. Number 10, be proven. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Lead through disappointment. Lead through delays. Lead through frustrations. Lead through, because this shows faithfulness. This shows integrity. This shows loyalty to God. And it sends a message to those around you. You're saying, even when everything in my world's falling apart, I still have hope, and his name is Jesus. Be proven. The real spiritual leader is focused on the service he and she can render to God and other people, not on residuals and perks of high office or high title. If you didn't listen to anything I said the whole service, this one statement is all I want you to take home. We are leaders. How do you lead? This is it. We must aim to put more into life than we take out of it. Leadership. Aim to put more into life than what you take out of it.